Imagine this. You're walking through Rome's filthiest night streets, the Suburra, where the lamps burn low, the wine is cheap, and the air smells like sweat, smoke, and secrets. Half-dressed women call out from doorways, soldiers laugh too loud, coins clink in hidden corners. Then you see her. Under heavy makeup and ripped robes is a face you have seen on marble statues, on coins, in parades. It's not some random street girl. It's Valeria Messalina, Empress of Rome, wife of the emperor, selling her body for nothing but the thrill of it. Not for money, not for survival. Just to prove that the most powerful woman in the empire can sink lower, go longer, and burn hotter than anyone else in that alley. If that image alone makes your jaw drop, don't go anywhere. Because this isn't just a scandal about sex. This is the story of how one woman turned desire into a weapon and almost brought Rome to its knees. And trust me, what you've just pictured is only the first crack in a very dark door. Messalina didn't start as a monster. At 15, she was the perfect Roman bride. Blonde hair, pale skin, noble blood that claimed to run back to the gods themselves. When she married Claudius, nearly twice her age and struggling with a limp and a stutter, the city buzzed like it was watching a divine match made by fate. In public, she was everything an empress should be. She bore his children, smiled at ceremonies, moved through the palace like a living statue of virtue. Rome worshipped the image, a pure wife, a loving mother, a symbol of order in a world built on conquest and fear. But images crack. Deep inside the Palatine Palace, behind the polished marble and gold, Messalina wasn't satisfied with being a symbol. She was bored, trapped, hungry for something that court gossip and fine banquets could never feed. And the way she chose to escape that cage would turn her from beloved empress into Rome's most dangerous addiction. At first, it looked almost innocent. Servants noticed odd patterns. The empress sending away her guards early, complaining of headaches, disappearing into her rooms, only to sneak out later in plain clothes. No jewels, no escort, no imperial dignity. Just another woman in the dark. Those late-night walks began as curiosity. What did the real city look like when the rich were asleep? How did the poor live, drink, love? But Messalina wasn't just browsing. She watched the courtesans, learned their tricks, studied the way they pulled men in, how they negotiated, how they survived. She wasn't sampling a forbidden world. She was preparing to dominate it. Everything snapped into place during Saturnalia, the one time of year when Rome flipped upside down and rules melted. While Claudius performed his holy duties, Messalina slipped into the Suburra, knocked on the door of a brothel and asked the owner for a room and work, just for one night. Or at least, that's what she told him. What actually happened that night would light a fire she could never put out. Inside that cramped, smoky brothel, the Empress didn't act like a frightened noblewoman slumming it for a joke. She went to war. Man after man filed into her room. While other women tired, she pushed harder, demanding more. By dawn, the regular workers were done, exhausted. Messalina refused to stop. The brothel keeper had to drag her away from the door because there were simply no clients left to send in. That night wasn't about lust, it was about victory. Somewhere between those dirty sheets and those drunken men, Messalina discovered a new kind of power. Not the quiet, polished power of a queen on a balcony, but the raw, ugly power of a woman who chooses shame and still wins.
He will be awake.
That feeling hit her harder than any drug. And once she tasted it, she wanted more. From then on, this double life became a system. She built a network of servants loyal only to her, crafted disguises, set up signals, and learned every backstreet that led from the palace to the city's underbelly. But street corner adventures quickly stopped being enough. Messalina wasn't the type to stay small. If she could beat the pros at their own game in one brothel, why not use the same hunger to control the entire empire? By the early 40s AD, Messalina's secret nights had evolved into something much bigger than private thrills. She set up a luxurious villa near the campus market that looked, from the outside, like a high-class social club. Inside, it was a carefully built machine of pleasure, humiliation, and information. She didn't invite just anyone. Senators, generals, rich merchants, the men who moved Rome's money and armies received exclusive invitations. Their wives, too, were pressured to attend. Some came willingly, flattered by the Empress's attention. Others came because saying no to the Emperor's wife felt like signing their own death sentence. Once they stepped inside, none of them were really guests, they were prey. Nights in that villa started with music and wine, with games and polite talk. Then the games changed. Messalina pushed her guests into situations they would never dare admit in daylight. Servants hid in the shadows, memorizing every word and position. Every laugh, every groan, every careless confession became ink in an invisible ledger. And with each new secret added, Messalina's grip on Rome tightened, one soft whisper at a time. Soon the effects showed in daylight. Laws bent in strange directions. Nobody suddenly held key military posts. Trade deals favored men who seemed ordinary, until you realized they owed their entire future to the Empress's silence. Messalina had built a private intelligence network, powered not by scrolls and spies and cloaks, but by bedsheets and fear. And she wasn't gentle. Noble women were forced into her schemes, their reputations held hostage. Men who thought they were powerful learned that a single rumor from Messalina could ruin them, their families, and generations after them. She turned marriage into a trap, loyalty into a joke, and religion into a mask she could wear while she pulled everyone else's off. You'd think that kind of secret power would be enough for anyone, but people like Messalina don't stop at enough. Once the shadows start to feel safe, they want the spotlight. And when she finally dragged her games out into the open, dressing them up as holy festivals, Rome saw just how far she was willing to go to watch the world around her crawl. Under the names of gods like Bacchus and Venus, Messalina organized grand religious festivals. Senators and their families were told they had to attend to honor the gods. The ceremonies began with incense, sacrifices, chants, exactly what people expected from a pious empire. Then the lines slowly blurred. Rituals turned more physical, more intimate, more twisted. People did things they would never have imagined doing in front of their peers. Yet there they were, trapped in a crowd, terrified to be the first to step back. Messalina watched all of it, sometimes joining, sometimes standing aside like a cruel director watching actors ruin themselves on stage. It wasn't just scandal anymore, it was psychological warfare. Parents saw their children pulled into sacred performances. Leaders who once barked orders on the Senate floor now lowered their eyes, haunted by what Messalina knew about them. Foreign diplomats noticed the change. Nervous generals, quiet senators, a Rome that still looked strong on the outside but had a spine made of shame. And still, Messalina wasn't finished. In 48 AD, she finally crossed a line Rome could not ignore. While Claudius was away inspecting grain routes in Ostia, Messalina staged a real legal wedding to a handsome young senator named Gaius Silius. There were priests. There were vows. There was a signed contract. The problem? She was still married to the emperor. It wasn't just cheating, it was open rebellion. At the wedding feast, drunk on power and wine, she reportedly called Silius emperor and imagined a new Rome ruled by her desires. Silius, at first dazzled by the idea of sharing a throne, soon realized he was standing on the edge of a cliff with no way back. But by then it was too late. The rumors reached Claudius. When the emperor returned with his Praetorian Guard and the evidence in his hands, Messalina's web finally snapped. No whispered secret, no hidden ledger, no terrified senator could save her. She was hunted down in the gardens where she had once celebrated her fake new life. Claudius ordered her execution, her statues smashed, her name carved out of history by damnatio memoriae. Legal oblivion. The woman who tried to own Rome through pleasure was erased by the one force she couldn't seduce: the cold, final power of the state. And if Messalina's fall has left you stunned and a little uneasy, don't leave just yet. Hit subscribe, drop a comment telling me where you're watching from, And tell me
They must
this,
be intercepted before they reach
do
the
you
sun.
think she was a monster?
Leave no trace.
Or a terrifying mirror of what happens when power and desire run free with no one to say, enough? Let's keep digging into the darkest corners of history together.